simulators where they would build out of plastic and the real parts a replication of the inside of a tank or some other armored vehicle or military vehicle, and then put screens and have the simulations playing. So it's, you know, not too different from an arcade game, but a heck of a lot more expensive and realistic. The graphics, of course, were 1980s, but it gave us a very good advantage in terms of, you know, teaching people how to use all the switches and the technology in the turret without spending the thousands and millions of dollars it takes. Every time a real tank fires around, it costs about 500 bucks. Every time you start one, it costs $70. So you can imagine the kind of money we saved with that. Then came SynNet, in which they would link 40 of these together. And again, they were doing this back in the early 90s, long before massively multiplayer online games became the norm. But they already started doing that. Since then, they have built simulators that are much more realistic in terms of the machinery you sit in while you're playing with it, as well as, just as with the games industry, the graphics have become much more realistic. And we've also gotten away from purely doing it, but previously it was purely either like that, or it was the tactical or strategic simulation, which is essentially the old pencil and paper war games put on a computer. The advance in technology in first-person shooters has enabled us to do a lot of other things, including a lot of the squad-based games that have come out. I guess Rainbow Six comes to mind, and some of the others. And a few years ago, the Army came out with its own game that was actually a pretty good first-person shooter that they just started giving away. Well, how does that affect training? It does help a lot. You know, that type of game helps a lot with teamwork. The other games help do the same thing that real training will. But the real advantage to all of it being, I guess, money more than anything. It costs a great deal of money to use that equipment. When you train with equipment, inevitably equipment breaks. If you're using terrain or other kinds of, you know, stuff to work on, there's only so much land we can maneuver on. Let's face it, you do not want tanks rolling across the farmland of Pennsylvania. You're not going to get much of a crop that year. So there's very limited places that we can train like that, and there's a lot more people who need to train than there are places to train. So this enables other units to train leading up to that. It will never be a substitute for the real thing, but it is tremendously valuable, you know, when you can't do that, and leading up to that and building the kind of teamwork and skills necessary to make the best use of the real training areas when you finally get a chance to use them.
You can do a zeroing, qualifying, and a advanced marksmanship skills. So that's just, they're fairly accurate too. Our supply guy came in, he's retired, he'd gone to Fort Leonard Wood, been there, saw the range, he's like, hey, that's Fort Leonard Wood. They actually went out and basically took pictures.
Built it on the range.
Right.
Yes.
So they're very accurate to a lot of our bases and all. Next one that we have is the Collective. The Collective is all 5 weapon systems are working together as like a fire team. The main thing with that is that they go and are working together in a scenario and are trying to fight through either an attack or they're defending, something like that.
So if you've got time, go ahead and throw something fun at them.
Yeah.
Push the magazine in. Lefty.
Come in.
Don't bother shooting them.
Shooting them.
They got about a ½ an inch to 3/4 of an inch of armor on them. You need a cannon for that. We don't have a, there you go, now you got somebody to shoot. Now what we can train here is teach people about using sectors of fire. You might want to shift like that so I can tell you while you're doing it. It works better if everybody's working together and continuing. You shoot here, you shoot there, somebody shoot far, somebody shoot near. So that all works together.